What's up, music fam? For a while now, I've been trying to find an excuse to pay homage to a few very special people. Some people who, if it had not been for, I probably wouldn't be sitting here doing what I do today. I'm back making another R&B beat for you. But as you listen, I want you to think about and appreciate some of the people who helped you along the way. And just as much, I want you to think about how you can reach back and help somebody else. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. So way back when I was in the 5th grade, I was having a hard time in school. I might have been just a little bit active, like little boys are supposed to be. But I had this teacher who just did not like me. One day he fell and the whole class laughed, myself included. But I didn't laugh like some of the other kids laughed. I specifically remember one person who held his stomach while pointing at the teacher and laughed. The teacher used this opportunity to go home, paint a refrigerator box red, come to school early, and put my desk in that refrigerator box permanently. Like that was my new seat. Not only was I humiliated, but I also couldn't see the board or even the paper on my desk because I had no light or window. That teacher almost succeeded in making me feel dumb, making me feel unseen, and unworthy of being around my classmates, and then breaking me as a person. But then my hero stepped in. I was eventually moved to a new class. I don't know if my new teacher knew exactly what I had been through, but this lady saw a need in me. Maybe she saw my lack of self-esteem, or maybe she had heard about me being put in that red box. But something in her decided to take that little boy who was just about broken and build him up. This lady grabbed me every single day and gave me the biggest hug. And she told me how smart I was. And guess what happened? I actually excelled in her class. I could go on and on about how special this lady is, but I just want to recognize Mrs. Bennefield for being one of my heroes. So one of the effects of me leaving my old class was that I would no longer be eligible to be in the school band the following year. Side note, back then the 5th and 6th grade classes were at the same school. So at that time, only 2 privileged classes were eligible for band in the 6th grade. And I had been taken out of one of those 2 classes. Even though I was glad to be taken out of that class because my teacher seemed to hate me, I was kind of devastated to leave my friends, who I'd been with since kindergarten and even before. But I was even more devastated because I had been sneaking and playing my older sister's bass clarinet so that I could play the saxophone in band the next year. So one day, I was running an errand for my new teacher because, well, of course, I was her favorite student. On the way back to her class, I just happened to pass the band instructor, who stopped me for a brief conversation. He didn't know me because he was also my music teacher. He said, "Your new class isn't eligible for band next year, is it?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "You know, your Uncle Ed was one of my favorite students. By the way, my uncle played the trumpet, the saxophone, played the piano, and he sang. He was one of the coolest guys I'd ever met." After asking whose class I was in, the band teacher said, "Don't worry, I'm going to make sure you're in band next year." I believed him just enough to be relieved, but I didn't realize the full excitement of that moment until the following year when my class was sitting in that band room. This man cared enough about me, a child who had previously felt invisible, to take on a whole new class that I'm pretty sure he didn't get paid any more for. This made me feel noticed, important, and I felt special. And the moment I blew into that alto sax, he knew and I knew that I was destined to be where I was. I soon realized that my band instructor was a master musician. Not only did he think enough of me to take in about 25 to 30 new students, but he also kept me after school on a regular basis and taught me jazz standards, how to improv, and even accompanied me on piano at my first solo performance. He taught me that no matter the age, the race, or the genre, that music is a universal language. Mr. Bell passed in 2010. I cannot put into words how many lessons and values he taught me, but I just want to recognize Mr. James Bell as my friend, my mentor, and my hero. It's crazy how all the people in this story are somehow connected. Okay, so I'm from a small town in Georgia. My uncle moved to the Atlanta area, and my family came to visit him. When we got here, my uncle gave me 5 to 6 jazz records. He said he came across them and wanted me to have them. Aside from Mr. Bell teaching me how to improv and to play jazz on a beginner level, studying these records gave me a new love for not only jazz, but for music as a whole. I already love music, but those records opened up something new in me. And remember, this was the same uncle who Mr. Bell said was one of his favorite students. A few years later, when my dad became a pastor, my uncle came home and visited the church. I looked into the congregation and I saw how proud he was when he heard me playing the piano. We just shared a connection that only musicians can share. Fast forward a few years, I was living in Virginia, and I received a phone call from my uncle. Something in his voice told me that this was going to be my last time talking to him. He told me how he wished he'd continue pursuing music as a career. I remember him saying, "I know you have to do what you have to do to provide for your family, but don't ever give up. Don't ever stop making music." And to be honest, there have been times I think I would have quit if it wasn't for that conversation. That conversation was 20 years ago, and it's a huge part of why I produce to this day. I want to recognize my Uncle Ed as one of my biggest heroes. Now, there are some people who come to me for music advice. They ask me questions and they really listen to what I have to say. But I'm just a student. When people ask for my opinion, I'm thinking I could give you my opinion, but man, I wish you could have heard Mr. Bell's advice. When people need just a little encouraging, I can only hope to show just a little bit of the kind of love Mrs. Bennefield showed me. And when people are just getting their start in music and need some motivation, there was no better veteran musician and music lover than my Uncle Ed. But all these people did their jobs. Now it's up to us to keep it going. Alright, music fam, that's all for now. But who are some of your heroes? And as we move forward in life, let's start thinking about whose hero we're going to be. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, you all be blessed.